should not only be focused on the big corruption, but also what you can call the small corruption. My experience is that both of these two ends of this corruption spectrum are very harmful to us as a country, as a people. What you might call small corruption basically is really hurtful to members of our society who are the place we call the bottom of the pyramid. These are the people who are every day asked to pay bribes for a service. You have been hurt, somebody has committed a crime against you, you go to a police station, you, the same victim, you are still being asked to pay a bribe before you can be attended to. Now, these small acts of corruption, Chair CEO, I can tell you in the past year or so, there has been a brazenness and an increase in this petty, what you can call petty corruption. And the way you see it, if you want to minister as chair, just go across down the street to Nyayo House, the immigration department. There has been what you call a cottage industry of corruption around that area, yeah? Of people who are operating outside the building, but have access or connection to people inside. These are the people who will claim to be, not only claim, actually they do. If you pay a bribe, they will help channel your papers and you'll get your passport in good time. That industry had, for some time, it had died. There were no people around, milling around Nyayo House, claiming to want to facilitate people to get that service over. Suddenly now, they are all back there. It's huge. Yeah. So this is the type of thing that you can say this is from the streets. You can muster the temperature of the fight from such areas. Number two is with the police. The police have become very brazen of late in asking, siphoning, blackmailing people to pay bribes. Now, as a citizen, this is a war I have always fought with the police, sometimes to dangerous levels, but I always have this a little bit of comfort that, and it works by the way. The moment they realize I'm a journalist, then they start treating you differently. Yeah, but the fight against corruption, including petty corruption, ladies and gentlemen, can only be done in a structured manner. Corruption mainly thrives in an area of darkness. Yeah? People operate in darkness, and under that cover of darkness or anonymity, people commit the crimes of corruption and so on. Now, one thing I have always tried to attend to with regard to police corruption, you know, the police regulations require every officer to be identifiable when they are at work. There's something, the blue, whatever here, that's supposed to have the first number of the police officer. Police in Kenya, because they want to operate under the shadow of an anonymity, they never wear that sticker. If they wear, they will wear and then they put a sweater on top. So here is a person harassing you, pushing you. You don't know who they are, you know. And whenever, and I do this a lot, whenever I ask, show me your number, it's like an offense. Wewe ni nani unauliza? Yeah? Who are you asking me for my first number? But this is the law. This is the rule. I'm supposed to know who I am dealing with. Yeah? You either show me your card because they have a card, yeah? Or I am able to identify them through the first number. This is not happening. I have personally gone to the National Police Service to submit to them to make the police follow the law when they are at work. It is not happening. And under the cover of anonymity, police are then able to push the ordinary mwananchi, extract bribes from them, hurt them, you know, and do a lot of things that are not acceptable in our society. This is the view from the streets. I stop there. Now I come to the view from the newsroom. Now, as journalists, we are in a very pivotal position. In fact, as the speakers before me have indicated, the responsibility that is bestowed upon us as journalists, as editors, is heavy. And it is heavy right from the definition of journalism as the fourth estate. The history of the fourth estate, I'm sure we all know, but in the current circumstances, we have the three arms of government, and therefore the fourth estate is the media that is supposed to be oversighting what these three arms of government do. So look, here we are, ordinary mortals like yourselves. You are supposed to be oversighting what the president is doing at State House, what the Chief Justice is doing at the Supreme Court, and what the Speaker of the National Assembly, with all those arms of government that they preside over, are doing. What they are doing to tell the people, because they are there for the time being on behalf and in the service of the people. Now, there are three broad areas how we as the media will relate to a commission or an agency like the EACC. Number one is education. In your mandate, we understand, and rightly so, that you have a very huge mandate in educating Kenyans, you know, on how to conduct themselves in a way that does not corrupt our system. So this is what you call a culture, you know, culture change, nurturing the culture of ethical behavior. This is part of our mandate, to help the commission educate the public on ethical behavior so that we avoid this crime of corruption. Number two, we also do have a mandate to inform the public what this commission delivers on their behalf. What does the commission deliver? And why is that important? It's because the commission is funded by taxpayers' money. Publicly funded institution with a mandate. So we also have a mandate or an obligation as media to inform the public of what are the activities that the commission is undertaking within its mandate legally, and whether it is progressing, static, achieving what the aims or the objectives are, or it is regressing. This is our mandate. Remember, we are the fourth estate. So even as you conduct your mandate, we are supposed to stand somewhere above and tell the public in totality what is happening within the commission and what is going well, what is not going well. And I think on those two, we have done well. The third thing is on accountability. Now, accountability is a very broad word which starts from within us and to what the president was talking about. The media cannot hope to hold other people accountable without itself being able to be held accountable for our actions as journalists. And therefore, thankfully, journalism, like any other profession, is a well-structured profession with its principles, with its realm of ethics, ethical behavior, with a whole retinue of laws that govern our profession. Now, this fight against corruption, as editors, as journalists from the newsroom, we have walked this journey and we have come to the conclusion that it will never and can never be fought outside the laws of the land, outside the constitution, outside the laws of the land. And therefore, as we engage in this very important duty of oversighting, we must always be alert that we are staying within the narrow confines of the law and the ethics for the practice of journalism. Just to give you an example, for those who are not trained journalists, the principles of journalism are, there are a number of principles, but they come in order of importance. Number one, which we call the Holy Grail of journalism that we should never break, is factual correctness. Factual correctness. That whatever we put on our screens on TV, in our radios, in our newspapers, is factually correct. Now this goes beyond just the ideal of getting things right, but it is what aligns us to the mission of journalism, which is the pursuit of truth. Secondly, staying with the facts, we say, is our silver bullet against the vagaries, the dangers of our profession. Chair, CEO, one of the biggest dangers of our profession is legal suits. A media house can actually be driven out of town, made bankrupt by legal suits if you get your facts wrong. There is the law of defamation, there is libel. If you get your facts wrong, you definitely pay a heavy price. Remember, we are in a very tight corner where sometimes the person whom you are trying to hold accountable is a judge. And you happen to get your facts wrong, where do you find yourself? Before the judge, or before a fellow judge. And if you look, if you check the facts, which is one thing that we have now taken as an industry on, the amount of awards from our courts for libel suits has become unbearable. Yeah, unbearable. And we are saying best practices around the world, this type of inflation of awards is not found anywhere else. It is in Kenya that it is found. And the Commission needs to work with us to find, which we are now pursuing this from the Guild and the Union of Journalists, a better way to shape the conversations around corruption, around libel and around defamation in the media, so that we do not basically eliminate the media from our midst. I can see the CEO is upstanding, but there's one thing that please allow me.
We have other engagement at 3, so I think,
yeah.
Please shorten your...
Yes, I'm going to shorten. I want to say this, Mr. CEO. One of the most unpalatable things we have had to bear as media houses has been being sued for information that our journalists have obtained from the Commission of the agents. And that's what I'm talking about. The fight can only be done in a manner that is legal. When I went to Standard in 2019 as editor-in-chief, I found, like every year, the media house was getting like 36 legal suits of defamation. Now that year, when I went in July, I found there were 37 of them. Yeah, about 18 involved 2 reporters. Both of them were operating in the newsroom as investigative reporters. They had sources, one end at DCI, on the other end at EACC. Between them, they shared the 18 cases. Out of the 18 cases, about 11 of them were cases relating to reports they had written with information obtained from the DCI and from the EACC. Why? Because they did not wait to follow the law. The law requires that the Commission investigates, takes the information to the DPP, the DPP then charges the individuals. Those cases are still in our in the courts with us, and they are there, originating from information that came to us prematurely. Yeah. One of them is the Commission says we are investigating 8 governors for corruption. Then we go and publish the story full with the pictures of the governors, and then the cases do not materialize in court. The governors come for us. This is the type of thing. This is the type of thing that happens. So, with those remarks, I will end here, and thank you all. This is the view from the newsroom that we want to partner, but let's partner in a manner that serves the mission of fight against corruption. Thank you.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Ochieng, for the insight tech. Now next we are going to hear the CEO of ESCC, who will give us the insider tech, the status of the fight against corruption.
Can you give me how many minutes I should spend? Because I can see the other guy almost, it was more like preaching. Huh?
Do 15.
15, huh?
15.
Very good. Thank you very much. I don't like using the speech. I like us to go on real action. May I correct you one thing? Chairman, all protocol observed, that is the shortest shortcut you can have in Nigeria, Kenya, when you're addressing a gathering. Corruption is not being done in darkness. Corruption in Kenya is done in the open. Traffic policemen are openly collecting bribes. You see them as you are driving, they don't care. But there's good news. It's very important that we've talked about that mentor. I had just said something to the IG this morning. When I was coming to the office, I saw a policeman in a very compromising situation with a motorist that has been stopped, and he has texted me very good news. The new police uniform will be having your name and the number. So it's something that they are working on it, and we need to understand something about this country. That the fight against corruption should not be the way you are in your room and there are so many mosquitoes and you try to kill those mosquitoes with your hands. You will not finish them. The best way is to put a net, to spray, and then you sleep comfortably. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the grand strategy of eradicating corruption in this country. You can have the best laws. If the enforcers are corrupt, what happens? I keep on talking about our time when we were in school, during the CPE and the KCE. For those of us who are over 52 years, I think when you are under 52, you must have done 844. If you're over 54, and although when I went to school, there were guys who had beard, so it can be subjective. How come during our time, exams were not locked in containers and there were no leakages? And today, you have a containers for national examination. The late Professor Magoha will inspect. CID have got their own lock. The GSU escorting the containers. Still you have leakages. Where are we driving to? There's a problem in the society. That is where we are. So how do we address corruption? If we are to address grand corruption, we have to look at three main pillars. Because there is this saying which I got it from one of the books I was reading about corruption, that around the world, corruption has become a primary mechanism by which power and politics function. The whole world, including the US. So some of these things, when you see them here, it's a global problem. And they say many democratic states in the world are losing the confidence of the citizens. And ironically, the quasi-dictatorship states are the ones that are respected by the citizens. A trend that is very worrying. So, when we are talking about the grand strategy of fighting corruption in this country, first and foremost, let us look at the political culture. That is where the problem starts. When you have a political culture that a person like Bishop Oginde goes and vies for a post of an MCA, is defeated by an illiterate, just because there's nothing wrong being illiterate, but I'm talking of being an illiterate, quasi-thug, just because the guy has got money, and you hear that guy has got 5,000 votes, Bishop Oginde has got 150 votes, maybe just from the village. And then you expect good leadership and results. And the trend goes on like that. The governors, I was doing a small research on my own in my office. I noted most of the governors who had served 2 terms have got serious issues with our office in terms of integrity. But they came twice. And if the law allowed 3 times, even 4 times, those guys will still be in office. That is where we are in terms of the political culture. We are talking with the public. As much as we make a lot of noise about the traffic, where's the problem? We are part of the problem, causing that corruption in the traffic. We are the ones who wants to avoid overlap. When you are caught, you flash 500 bob to that policeman. You are forgetting one thing. Most of those policemen had to bribe to join the police force. So they are in a mission to recoup the money that they paid. And it's not only the police, it's all over the entire public service. People have to do something. Coleman has, the person who spoke before me, he talked about Zubeda, who talked about the quasi or the journalists who are imposters. EACC is always accused that we take bribes. Some of these people who are alleging that EACC officers are taking bribe have come to our offices, including an MP, no name. The MP came busting, say, you people are very, very corrupt. So I said, please come to my office. Luckily, that MP came with a member of JALA, Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, who, because of our interaction, we know that MP is a good MP. So the MP makes noise. I don't want to say he or she. Piga nduru hapa na kusema nyinyi watu bure mnachukua pesa. What is? Do you have the number of this person who gave you? He was, you know, this issue of that some people were forced to bribe him. The MP came to defend his people that they were extorted. I'm given the number. I'm given the name. I go to the mailbox. I key in the first name. There is no such stuff. I ask HR, do we have a staff by this name? Hakuna. So it's a problem cutting across the society. Better. It goes beyond journalism. It goes beyond. There are even the conmen posing as policemen. We caught one conmen who was purporting to be an EACC guy, and Mr. Abdi can tell you. The guy said, "This is my profession. My children go to school because I'm a conman. I earn a living out of being a conman. I'm a graduate. I don't have any job." And I found that being a conman gives me good money. I have a kid in university, parallel. I have kids in schools. So even if you arrest me, I'll get a lawyer. This case will drag, and I'll continue to be a conman. So where do we go when somebody can just accept before a law enforcement that yeah, I'm a conman and I'm earning a living out of it? So we look at the public, and then we look at the enforcement agencies. That is the police, the judiciary, EACC, KRA, immigration, all these agencies that have got powers to take people to court. The issue of lack of capacity. He talked about the immigration. It is worse everywhere. Lands. It is worse in hospitals. It is worse in NHIF. It is worse retirees getting their dues. You can imagine. They are having a problem of getting their pension. And here we are talking of systems. So let us look at how we can address these issues in terms of streamlining systems and believing in the systems. You can have the best laws, but if you don't believe in those laws, it's as good as doing nothing. So let's talk about the EACC in the war against corruption. And I can say that one of the main focus that we've been doing as a commission is that because of our number that is small and the magnitude of the corruption cases, we are trying to do a four-way approach. One, the enforcement part of it, and we are looking at big cases as opposed of small cases. We have a problem of having so many cases that are reported, and unlike the other organizations like the Serious Fraud Office in US and UK, where they just look at big cases only, as even if somebody comes and report about a chief having bribed, you have to follow it, but then you ask, is it possible that with this minimum budget, I send officers from Mombasa to Voi